Hello everybody. Today we're going to go through debugging in an akk-stack environment, and that's going to be debugging the C++ code and the binaries for zone, world, and loginserver. This is assuming you're using akk-stack for development and you have VS Code installed and everything running in Docker. So the requirements are going to be VS Code, Docker, and a running akk-stack environment, and a couple extensions. So what we're going to want to do is latch VS Code onto this running container so we can look at the code in there, set breakpoints, and start the binaries. So in the outer VS Code instance, right here, I'm on my Windows machine, I'm in WSL. I need to install an extension to get this going. So under extensions, you want to look for Docker, install that, probably have to reload, and then you should get this little ship whale thing popping up. Not really sure what that logo is. And once we get loaded up here, we should have the running containers that we have, and this is going to be the one that we want to target to attach to the EQEmu server. And there should be an option, right-clicking this to attach a Visual Studio Code, and get right in here. And you could be prompted with opening a root directory, and the root directory should be, I think it's /home/EQEmu, and you want to open whatever the directory is that also has server and code as a sibling directory, so this one right here. And the first thing you want to do is create another folder in here called .vscode, and then a file inside of that called launch.json. And I'm going to post the contents of what you need here in the description as well. And once we're in here and we can open files, look at the code, and it's up to you if you want to install other extensions like C++ extensions for syntax highlighting or IntelliSense or anything like that. It doesn't work very well in containers from my experience, but you should get out of the box a little bit of syntax highlighting at least. So what we want to do is find a place to put a breakpoint. Right now I'm working in this function load temp merchant data. I want to make sure that whenever the merchants are loading their items up, that they still actually exist in the database. And if they don't, I want to add them to a list of items to purge and then delete them at the end of this routine here. So I can set a breakpoint. And now I want to install an extension. And you could probably use a couple different extensions for this. I use LLDB. You could probably use some variation of GDB as well to start these up and attach a debugger. The one I use is code LLDB. So install this right here. And that will give us some options to request a type of launch from a VS Code debug menu right here. So I have a couple different things listed out here, and what I'm essentially doing is using LLDB to launch this binary in server bin zone, which is the symlink to the actual built binary. And I'm going to use the working directory of server. That's where my EQEmu config is, so we can read that, and give the arg of qeynos 2 to tell it to spin up the actual contents of that zone right there, and not just wait for world to tell it what to do. So after I got that all sorted out, I can go to run a debug here. And then I can find that in the dropdown and give this a shot. And right away I hit my breakpoint so I can see everything that's going on. So you get a pretty good insight into all the variables that are going on. You don't have access to globals or anything like that, but you have enough that you can, kind of get an idea of at least the local variables and their values, and you can dig in here a little bit. You can crack some of these open and get a little bit of information out of this. And also supports running evaluations for LLDB here in the debug line as well, so you can get a little bit more information if you know how to use that. But this should be enough to get anyone up and running, to be able to step into, do whatever they have to do. And also to keep in mind that whenever you are on a breakpoint, all the threads are frozen, which will stop the client-server communication and will eventually disconnect all the clients right here as well. So this is not a good practice to use in production servers, but when you're doing development locally, I think this kind of thing is essential in making sure your code is flowing the way it needs to and inspecting values along the way. So that about wraps it up, and hope this gets anybody up and running that wanted to be able to inspect the C++ that they're writing. And if anyone has any questions or other use cases, feel free to leave them in the comments. All right, thanks guys. See ya.